in New York City. Got it. My partner is Matthew Steer. We have one other broker on our team. So it's a small team. We probably average around 65 to 70 million in sales every year. And we kind of organically came about in a very weird way. None of us is like the rainmaker, we all have our partnership and it works for us. So we've never lost anybody. We've never had an argument in 7 years doing this. So even though we can't get the half cap, it works for us.
It works.
My background is that I used to be a commercial litigator. I was a lawyer for 5 years. So it brought me to New York City. I went to Fordham and I did not like that lifestyle. And so I segued into real estate, which, having the law degree helped get me into, the luxury world, but it's not exactly how I got into it. I went brick by brick by brick. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a connection. So it was a real kind of slow build for me. Which kind of made it a lot stickier with my clients. So that's us.
I love it. So how you kind of alluded a little bit to how you got started in luxury. I know everyone wants to know, like, obviously you have this small team now and you consistently, when I say consistently, she's doing this volume. I've known you for quite a few years now. So she is certainly not telling a story here. I watch you on social media along with Matthew, and we've had several masterminds together at KW events. So tell them how you kind of got started so that we can share the story from when you started luxury into the 65, 70 million range.
Sure. So my first year getting into luxury in New York City is a tough one to crack. There are people who sell $40 million apartments every month. So my first year was almost 99%. I did rentals. You can make a living here. You can make a living here doing rentals. I think my first year I made like $60,000 and they gave me an award. And I was like, what did I just do? I can't believe I used to be a lawyer. But my way of getting into luxury is I treated every rental agent as if they were a luxury buyer. Because in New York City, people move for fun. They try a different neighborhood. They move every 2 years, especially if you're a rental. So I got a lot of repeat people that way. I would get a driver, even though you had like a $3,000 a month budget, and you're always going to be losing money probably the first year. But those people became buyers. Those buyers became sellers. They told their bosses about me. And it was really kind of that like really incremental step up. But it is always just how you treat people. I mean, it's not... most people who are renting a $5,000 a month apartment is a luxury person. That's not a $10 million purchase, but they probably make, $300,000 a year and at the age of 28, and they're going to be somebody, who's going to be a good buyer. So I really went into it thinking like, I'm just going to treat everyone like they're gold. And that's how it worked for me.
I love it. It's so interesting because I've heard a lot of agents being a broker and overseeing agents that are starting out new or emerging talent, or of course, mega agents. And they all, do not want to do rentals in Florida. And I know, and listen, I know that you get paid a little bit more, not to get into fees or commission, but it's a different type of business model down here in Florida. I mean, sometimes it's $50, which may or may not cover your gas. So, I do get that a lot where they don't want to take them out. And sometimes just building that relationship, and you said lose money. I want to kind of redefine that as you were investing in your business because you were building client.
I kind of went into it like I was starting my own company, right? And it would have been really foolish to expect first year you make a big profit starting your own company. So I moved to a rent stabilized apartment in like the far part of Brooklyn where my rent was nothing. I deferred all my student loans. I really went into it like, what's the cheapest way I can possibly live if I make nothing this year? So I kind of went into it like, opening up my own shop. So if you have that mentality, you can only be, I guess, positively surprised. So, you kind of have to really you have to get realistic about what you're doing. You can't watch the shows. You sell a house, you buy a Lamborghini. Like that's just not real life. And the people who have that attitude just don't make it. So I try to make the perception that it's going to be as horrible as it possibly could be. And that's just going to be fine. So
you're not posting on Instagram with your fancy cars,
no, I have a Ford. It's not, having a car in New York City alone is a luxury. But so, and then you also want to make sure that no matter even if you sell a $10 million house, you want that person to call you no matter what. You don't want them to reach out to any other. So if their secretary needs, a rental, you want them calling you. So you have to kind of keep a foot in that world to make sure that they know that you do everything.
So you're kind of getting into the next question I have is, you're all about experience, and I know that. So can you give some examples of what that looks like? You kind of talked about it just now, making sure that you're keeping your clients sticky with you, and no matter what price point, if it's a first-time buyer, if it's a renter, it does not matter. You're giving them that same luxury experience, and that leads to those multi-million-dollar sales. And we'll get to some of those big sales. And I know you had a big one this year too.
We did, and it was from a Keller referral. So that's another, obviously, we all know the beauty of Keller. It's a big reason why Matthew and I joined Keller, was for the international exposure. But just like an anecdote, I had my second year, 2006, I had a $3,000 2-bedroom recently graduated college client that they had to have guarantors, the whole thing. 2 years later, one of them calls me and she's like, I got a great job. I'm moving out myself. I need my own 1-bedroom. Fantastic. We're looking for a $4,500 thing. Then she was like, well, how much would this cost to buy? And I'm like, this is probably $1 million apartment. She ends up buying an $8.5 million. I did not know her family was worth $100 million. In my mind, she was making $40,000 a year. So that's why it's important to treat everybody like you do not know. These people are not advertising this. So to this day, I still work with that family. This is 15 years in. They've become one of my biggest, advocates. So I whenever I feel like frustrated with somebody, I always think back on that one, like you have to kind of hang in there with everybody. Everyone has their days, but it's in the markets that we're at, which is a lot of like beautiful second homes, that kind of thing. Someone buying a $500,000 second home is a luxury client.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what happened here, as being originally a resort and second home, but now we have, COVID kind of changed a lot of that, as most people know, in Florida. Yeah. So with these big listings, I've watched you have some big listings, multi-million-dollar listings. How are you attracting the buyers specifically to these luxury listings? What are some of your tactics and methods to do that?
In New York, 97% of our deals are co-broked. Like if a buyer comes direct, we're suspicious of their motivation, of their, ambition to get this done. We really want a broker on the other hand. So we advertise a lot to brokers. In addition to what the luxury, puts into the newspapers and the journal and all that kind of stuff, we do a lot of broker opens with champagne and sushi, and they come and do kind of like the whole previewing for those luxury clients. Because lots of times our clients are like in Europe or in China or in Russia or in, they're not downtown. So we really need to have these people kind of go back to their databases and like tell them what they've learned. So I keep in touch with so many brokers in and out of Keller Williams. They're like kind of my go-to group. It's like 50 of us. We ask like, in real time, what's the traffic like? What's your advertising expenses like? We really kind of help each other and kind of consolidate our information together. And so I heavily rely on the broker community.
And I love that. And you're not just, obviously we have a huge organization, and then we have our, KW Luxury within Keller Williams, which has become such a tight knit group. And now we have new people earning in, which is fabulous. And we love that, because mentoring and coaching and training is one of my one things. So you're really just talking about being broker agnostic. You've got a mastermind group, kind of a core database within your whole database that you are consistently meeting with. And those relationships are so important to your sellers even. Without you being so involved in the community, again, most of yours are much higher than with the co-broke statistics in New York than they would be traditionally, I think, in some other areas.
Totally. We have won listings based on our relationship with you and people in the Keller world. Your face is probably in my sales presentation. I don't know if I got the permission to do that, but we have like, it's like a map of the world, and we have like, someone down here and someone up here, and it's a face and a name. We're like, these are real people. So when you list with us, you're getting all these people to advocate into their own databases as well. And that is kind of been a game changer for us. I haven't been able to say that at any other brokerage. Keller is my third brokerage. So the luxury people understand that, because they know, like, you know, a $8 million buyer is not looking through the newspaper for their apartment, you know, like they have people kind of putting it in front of them who they trust. So we have to find those people, not the buyers, because those people are going to find our buyers for us. So
Well, and I
keeping
want to share a quick story before I forget this thought. You did something very creative, and it was you and Matthew and your other partner, and we did a video. And I mean, my video was nothing professional, you know, so I think people kind of get stuck trying to make sure everything's perfect before they do this. And you were going on a listing appointment. I don't think we had a ton of notice, but you reached out to some of the core groups that you actually have met through hosting your own mastermind at Family Reunion. And that's how we got to know each other. But we just did a quick video of who we were, you know, where we're from. And I think I did it at Marina Jack in Sarasota, which is a waterfront park downtown Sarasota, with the marina in the background, knowing that there's so many people that are going back and forth between Florida and New York. And you used that on a listing consultation. And I thought that was brilliant, to not only just have a picture in your listing consultation with the map, which is already very, you know, savvy, but to do the video and then play that for the seller. That was genius.
We still have that in our presentation. And my sister, Christine, who's on this call, just spliced it together. It looks great. Like we had people from London, from Dubai, you know, it was very impressive. You guys knocked it out of the park, and it was just like selfie iPhones. Like, here I am in Sarasota. I'm going to make sure that everyone here knows about your listing, and we are on it with the Steer Kelly team. And I got goosebumps when I saw it. I was like, wow, these guys came through. And so if you have like feeder, you know, cities, find people in those cities, make that video. Just, Keller's great. It's like being in the Girl Scouts, like everyone wants to help everybody. So, I mean, we gave people a half a day's notice. By the end of the day, we had a fully fledged, you know, edited video. So, you know, lean on your friends, and lean on, you know, find those people. That it's important.
So I know you have a lot to share. We have about 45 minutes left. I've allocated an hour. If we end earlier or stay late, you know, it's totally up to everyone on the call.
Okay.
But I've allocated an hour of your time. So I want to ask one more question, and then I've made you co-host. You're welcome to share your screen and kind of go over some fun things that you have planned. I know you do a class on this, and we might not have the entire time to do the full class, but we can probably schedule something on a Zoom for the region if this is content everyone loves. So you do go to every conference. So you're at Family Reunion, Mega Camp. How important do you think that is, and you're establishing your relationships and also moving forward?
It's huge. I think 25 to 30% of our business is referrals from Keller agents. Wow. So pays for itself. You have to make, Matthew's better at it than me. I get tired and he's like, come on, we got to go meet like 8 more people. You know, it's good. Like, pair up with somebody. You need a tag team sometimes, but we try to have like little sessions. We'll just kind of send out an invitation, be like, do you want to meet us? We're just going to be like in the you know, hotel restaurant. We'll get like 8 people. We'll sit down. We'll have some like chips and salsa and some drinks. And like, we'll do like half an hour, like almost like speed dating. We'll do that like 3 times a day. And then we'll have like our main kind of people that we want to nurture that relationship forever and ever and ever, which, you know, you're one of them. We do a special meeting with that. So we actually do more meetings at these events than classes and stuff. Because for us, that's like really, but then you just learn so much. I mean, half of what I'm about to teach you guys, I learned from other people. I didn't invent this stuff. I just aggregated it together. And now I put it in like this little presentation. So like everything I have been able to do with our business, I've not stolen, but I've taken advantage of learning from other people. It's just the best. I really enjoy it.
I still remember, I mean, almost every meeting, Mike Brody will sit there for the first, you know, 20 or 30 minutes. And if you're not sure who that is, Google him. He's phenomenal. Lots of experience in luxury. And he just sits there and listens and observes. And then all of a sudden you better have your notepad ready, because when he opens his mouth and he says something, it's like so wise and so profound that you almost want to be like, can you repeat that? I need to put that in my notepad. So just little tidbits like that at these meetings, you never know who's going to be there, who's going to say what, and it just how it's going to move your business forward or help you serve others better.
1,000%. I mean, like, there are some goats out there that are in this company who've been doing this since the 80s and have been through every twist and turn, every single market, you know, and they have all the warts and the bumps and the bruises, and they've survived. So you want to get in the room with those people for sure.
Awesome. Well, you should be co-host. So that was my last question I wanted to ask in the beginning, and now I'll let you take over. I'm going to put myself on mute. If you do have questions, you can put them in the chat, and then towards the end, we're going to leave a few minutes to come off mute and ask away.
Okay, great. So guys, I'm going to share my screen because I have just a little PowerPoint just to make this a little bit more interesting. So the class I like to teach is called The Nuts and Bolts of Being a Luxury Agent. And it's really about, you know, there's a lot of people who do the class about how to treat your clients and all the surprise and delight that Brady does, and like all of that customer service stuff. This is the opposite. This is really kind of like the real basics of how to become a luxury business. So when Matthew and I got together, I was against all this stuff. We didn't have a brand. We didn't have a motto. We didn't have a website. We had nothing. And I was like, that's not going to get us anywhere. But after going through the whole Keller experience, you kind of learn that this stuff is important. So I'm just going to give you a real quick synopsis of what we've done and how it's helped us. And hopefully this can help you too. So the first is you really need to have a messaging. You know, people connect to your authentic person, your style. There's lots of ways to do this. It doesn't mean you have to spend a ton of money. Really, it's authenticity that attracts people to you and want to stay with you. So you have to figure out, what's your story? What makes you different? What are you into? What do you like? What's your style? For example, there's a team out in Colorado called Shelter, which is Chip Parrish and Ariel. Their style is everyone deserves a home, and they're all about charity and community and let me hold your hand during this process. It's very sweet and giving. And then there's another broker in New York City who's not with Keller. His name is Mike. I started with him. He will only wear sweatpants. He refuses to wear anything besides sweatpants. And he has like a scruffy beard, and he wears his beanie hat, and he has luxury clients because not every wealthy person is fancy. So he has that, you know, market on lockdown, but he's authentic and people trust him. And that's why he does so well. So, and he has like 140,000 like followers on Instagram. Like it works. So we had to figure out what our brand was. You have to make it cohesive. How do you want to be perceived? And so when we started finding someone to help us build this, what the question they asked us was, give me 3 to 5 adjectives that defines you guys. And this is really, it's hard to do because you think it might be like real estate, sales, you know, Florida, but it's really, you have to kind of get into your soul a little bit about what's your image you want to present. For us, it was expertise, professionalism, integrity, cosmopolitan. Matthew and I both came to New York with like big eyes. We wanted to live that like life, right? We wanted to have that experience. So for us, it's kind of like, let us get you here so you can live the life. It's almost like the apartment is like the little part of it, just so you can go live this life. So we wanted to kind of be like the tour guides of getting you into New York. So we gave these adjectives to our logo person, and he came up with the logos you'll see at the bottom of the screen here. We wanted to make sure you can see as soon as you saw that we are from New York City. So we used the Chrysler building as kind of our middle part focus of this. And I swear it's amazing. Like we had to talk about like, were we going to put the little, you know, bottom at the end of the K? Like, do we want it to be like that? Do we want it to be regal? We want it to be like, you know, like formal or casual. So this went on for a long time, actually. And we thought he kind of nailed it because you see it and you kind of understand what we're about. Then we had to go into, we needed a website. How do you start this? I don't code. I don't do any of that stuff. So fortunately, Christine on our team was willing to take up this, and you could pay someone $8,000 to do a website. You don't have to though. If you have someone that's patient enough like her to kind of learn this, you can build your own website. It took her about a week. There's lots of places you can go to get free images. There's places you can go to if you want to buy video. So our motto here was live extraordinarily, live New York City. Because like I said, we wanted you to kind of help you get to that extraordinary life, the reason you moved here. And all these images you see were free. So there's places to get that. Where she built this website is, Chris, it was
Squarespace.
And then a lot of the places where she got the photos and such is Upwork is where we got our logos. You can go up there and they will pair you with a logo designer. It cost us $420 at the time. I think he's going for like $500 these days. Squarespace and Wix is where you can use templates to build your website. Unsplash and Raw Pixel is where she found a lot of the photography and stock photos. We did pay, I think it was like $1,200 for a pretty cool video. That was like the only thing we paid money on, but it was kind of goes through the city and it was worth it for us. So for $1,200, we have like a really professional website. And honestly, especially in Keller, you don't want people landing on your Keller website. It doesn't really say anything about you. It just makes you look like everybody else in Keller. So having your own website kind of shows your clients, this is how I present myself to the world professionally. So you can expect that's what I'm gonna do for you and your property. So it's kind of like almost like auditioning before you even get the job. They kind of showing them what you can do. It's kind of like you wouldn't go to like a restaurant necessarily that didn't have a website, or like a nail salon that didn't have a website. You'd be like, well, are they a real business? You kind of have to have one these days, right? So this is worth it. It's really, really worth it. And you can kind of keep putting this in front of your clients and they feel like you are a business upon yourself. Then you have to do all the online stuff. So let's talk about Google. For free, you can make yourself a Google business page, right? This, for the past year, has been kind of our challenge. Google has made this algorithm that's not very kind to real estate brokers. So we're going to share with you some of the tricks we found out along the way that we've kind of stumbled through. And I'm going to have Christine help me here because she did a lot of the phone calls about this. So you build your business page and then they authenticate it. It took them a while to do that because we didn't realize that, Christine was making it with her email, but you really needed to use my email to authenticate it. The very next thing you need to do is get reviews. You want to look up this business and you want to say, like, what are people saying about them? So our, naivete, I guess, was that we sent out like 85 Google review requests at once, got a bunch, Google shut us down. They're like, you haven't had any, now you have a bunch. These are like robots. These are not real. They shut us down. But Google is horrible because they don't tell you why. They just leave it to you to kind of figure out what they're mad about. So we kind of learned like that was probably the reason. And then Chris, you want to explain your experience with the community chat you found?
Yeah, sure. So if you go to the next slide, is it the next slide from here? So this is creating your business profile. And then if you keep going. Oh, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, this is like kind of shows you why this is good to have. So you can see once we build our business profile, this steered a lot of people to our website because we had one. So we had, we were in 63 Google searches this month or whatever it was, and 28 on the mobile. And, you can see what people were searching on the right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what they were searching that we were coming up in. And you can kind of tell this almost seems like a bunch of like other Keller agents from outside the city were searching for a referral agent, because it's a lot of Keller, New York, obviously. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't have even gotten a phone call from these people. And this is free. So this kind of just shows that it's helpful for your business.
So yes, for Google reviews, it's really hard. What I've been taught that for real estate agents, it's really hard to get a lot of reviews at once. You have to do this over time, and you can't spam like your little referral link out to people. Otherwise, it gets flagged by the Google artificial intelligence bots or whatever. So one thing that we learned when we did this was people were saying, oh, I did give you a review, but I'm not seeing it. It's not public, but they are seeing it in their Google profile. So we were just so confused. We kept emailing back and forth with Google. They weren't giving us much information. So we had all these people who we knew gave us reviews, give us a screenshot. And then I went to this Google Business Profile Help community, which you'll see in that screenshot right there, and just posted a question of like, does anybody know how to get these reviews to go public? And this one guy who's like a small business advocate for people who have these issues responded and said, just send me the screenshots and I'll elevate it to the Google people. And whatever magic he did, we finally got those reviews to be public. So there are people who can help, but my advice to you guys is, as you are asking for reviews, start very slow. Aim for maybe
Like
just
one a
one
week.
a month. Yeah, don't spam. Don't send it through like a MailChimp type of email tool. Send it through your own email, one at a time, and just go from there and see, how many you have to ask just to get one. But yeah, we've been getting flagged quite a bit, and I've heard this from other agents as well. So
yeah. And here's a tip to entice people to actually give you a review. And we will send an email to the client and we'll ask them for a review, send the link to it. And we say, as a thank you, please pick from one of the below charities and we're going to make a donation in your honor. And almost always people are very excited once they see that they can do something, they're kind of more motivated to help you. And then we've picked charities to make sure that once we make the donation, they will email our client letting them know that we made it in their name. So it's like a two-touch. So it's kind of a way to get someone to really kind of engage with you, because obviously, like, even my uncle has an HVAC company who did my house, and I keep forgetting to do his review when they send it to me. So you really want to get you want to entice somebody. And this is a trick I learned from a different broker. It's almost like 100% response rate once you put that into your email. So
that is brilliant. I love that you're tying it into community and then having some local organizations that you support already. And I think that just makes everyone feel good. And the client is that's a great incentive. They're more inclined.
Yeah. And how can you say no? Like, you're not going to help me donate something? Like, like you have to. So that's kind of a good tip to make sure you get some actual feedback. So
someone wanted to know the amount you do. I don't know if you want to share that, or is it case by case, depending on the price point of which you sold the property, or
the amount I do for what?
For the contribution. Do you have like a specific budget for that?
Well, first we were like, make sure they have like a low threshold, because if we get like 100 reviews, we can't be out thousands of dollars. So we found one that went as low as like $5, I think, they don't tell the client how much you donated. It's just like a donation was made in your honor. So you can find, I think there's even one for $1. Some are higher, some are like $50. So we kind of steered away from those because we didn't know if we were going to get a deluge of reviews or not. But we kind of made sure they were kind of local stuff to make it a little bit more New York central, like animal shelter and homeless shelter, that kind of thing.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you.
And you have to do a test. I think, Christine, you did a test to make sure they would do it. Not everyone sends the email to your clients. So we had to really kind of source that out. So social media, guys. So you have your beautiful logo, you have your beautiful messaging, you're authentic. People know what to expect when they're on the phone with you, when they're in front of you, when you're handling their properties. You have a gorgeous website and you're looking pretty spiffy. You have to do social media. This was kind of the thing that really we concentrated on this year. And when you do social media, you have to do video. It has to be like one a day video, or at least once a day post. And then you want to do like 2 to 4 stories. If you guys don't know the difference between posts and stories, just let me know. But the stories kind of only last one day. The post kind of lives there forever. So I went to a regional mastermind for the tri-state area of New York and New Jersey, and they had a whole panel, and this was just so important. Like, this is just how it's free. And this is how they get their clients. They just give content, but it doesn't always have to be real estate. Like, some of the biggest looks I have are just me looking out my window of my apartment at the boats below. I'm just kind of like, oh, there's, boats outside today. I have like friends of mine who are like, oh, are you famous now? Because you keep popping up on my Instagram. I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm just like 10-second videos, just kind of what I've learned from other people or an anecdote that happened. And it's powerful. You have to have at least one public social media account. You can keep one private for your personal stuff with your, dogs and nephews and whatever you want to put on it, but you have to have one public one because people have to be able to find you, and those videos and the reels, they go out to the world, and they you want people to start following you. So we went from like, our team had like, I don't know, 100 followers, and now we're almost at 2,000, like 6 months in. And that took a lot of work for Christine too. You have to start following other luxury brands, in your area. If there's a golf course that's, has an Instagram, follow them, try to engage with them so they follow you back. Or if there's like a Lamborghini dealership or like a brand new restaurant opening, you want to get into the community. So when people go to your website, they can your Instagram, they see that you have a lot of connections in the community at the luxury level, and that's just friending them. It's just your image. It's just a matter of engaging with them, travel agencies, yacht companies, that kind of stuff. So you want these people following you, and you want to be following them.
And commenting. I love how you have the commenting on here. After one of our hurricanes, and we got very fortunate, it did not hit us directly, but obviously we went through a lot with weather, and the restaurants were not open. And I had been following this Italian restaurant. And of course, I love Italian and Mexican, so I could eat that every day. Not that I should, but there's a restaurant near my house, and we just moved in June. So we really have gotten to know like the owner. They're always on a wait. They have local art with the local artists all over the walls. I mean, just beautiful, really cool art. And so he noticed I had been following him, and he recognized me when I walked in, even though I'd only been there, coming there for a few months. And there was a big wait, and like, we hadn't had a real meal. We had been eating off the grill. Luckily we had propane and stuff, but we had no electricity. And he's like, I know you. And I was like, yeah, I follow your Instagram, and I always comment on the pictures they post. He goes, come with me. And he pulled us over. The owner cleaned off this high top as these people were literally like barely getting up from the table, and said, we'll feed you. You look like you need a hot meal. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have busted.
I love that. Yeah. Because you kind of, and to them, you feel like a celebrity, right? Like you keep popping up. They know your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. And it's just so easy. It just takes a little bit of discipline to do. But that's like a perfect example of how this could, pay it forward. I'm going to start following that hard to get in restaurant in New York, see if that happens. But it's easy to do, guys. You can do this from your couch at night when you're watching Netflix. Like, it's such an easy way to it's like a little work hack. And it's free and easy, and it's effective, clearly. So that's a great one. So this is kind of just information we've learned along the way about, being online, and 85% of internet users watch video. So video is important. Like, you have to do it every so often, and don't be afraid. Like, you can mess up. Mine's not scripted. Lots of times it's just it's nothing. I just was walking to, a Pilates class, and something popped in my head, and I just video it and keep going. And it also shows your authenticity, which we discussed is important. So, this kind of just shows like, and in the social media panel I listened to, there's this one girl, I think she has like 100,000 followers now, and she became famous because she was on a team, and they were all going to go live on Instagram and all their different open houses at once. And wherever she was not a very good listing. So she just got into the bathtub, and it's just kind of like, look at this amazing bathtub. It's just amazing. And now they all call her Bathtub Girl. And when they pitch listings, like, sellers are like, will Bathtub Girl be doing our Instagram? And it's nothing. It's just kooky stuff, so you don't have to have any production value. You don't have to think of anything clever. It could just be real quick and simple and kind of an afterthought. Also, when you're doing these videos and posts and stuff, I've learned that hashtags are very important. I used to do like hashtag luxury. My sister's like, you need like 92 more hashtags, because this is how people will find you. So she puts like anything she can think of She just hashtags it at the bottom. It's like this long a paragraph. But when you have a public profile, you know, people might just be like, hashtag New York City real estate. They want that your face wants to pop up, right? It's just amazing kind of how this works. So these are some of my videos. Like you can see, these are not pretty. This is me in the sweatpants, but like in the first day, you get like almost $2,000 to $3,000 views. So they work. You can get your face out there and, you know, maybe a hot meal after bad weather. Make sure you always add your location. You want to tag anybody who's in it that doesn't mind being tagged. Make sure you write a caption, share it everywhere you can, share it to Facebook, share it to all your other Instagram, social media outlets, and just get yourself out there. I mean, I wish this was around when I started out. We had no way of getting our name out there for free. It was impossible. Our sister-in-law just started in Keller Williams, and she has sold a listing, has 2 contracts with buyers. She's been a broker for 2 months, and she is all over social media. People think she's been doing this for 11 years because she's just in front of them, explaining the market, telling them stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. She's just reading articles and regurgitating it. But her image is instant, like expert. So it's very profoundly effective.
I think you can become the local economist of choice very quickly if you're just, I always tell, you know, people pick 10 articles a day. They can be a paragraph each, you know, but just pulling a couple bullet points out of that each day. You don't have to, you know, be all over the news all day. I mean, a lot of that's negative, but you can go find something that's relevant through NAR or even hyper-local neighborhood information.
Yeah, absolutely. And make sure it stays within your brand. So I taught this class in Jersey, and someone was like, well, how do you, you know, if you're putting stuff on your newsletter and in your social media, kind of say what's going on in the city, that's like 1,000 things a day. And I said, well, like I used to be a dancer. My partner, Matthew, is in the art world and he used to be a musician. So we kind of try to keep it in that lane. So when people go on our Instagram and social media, they kind of see that. Like, we're not telling you anything about sports, you know, that's just not our thing. Yeah. So we kind of collect and gather and attract similar people, I guess. So try to not to be all over the place. Like, obviously everyone loves restaurants. And we always do like rooftop bars and that kind of stuff, but it's a lot of entertainment things. But if your thing is, you know, farmers markets and hiking and biking and that kind of stuff, do that. You're going to find that people will just gravitate to you, and it's just going to be easier to have a relationship with them. So this is a lot of like soul searching, guys. It's kind of like, who are you? And just putting it out in the world. And honestly, I didn't think it was important. I didn't think anyone would care about this. They don't want to see like, what's the last thing you sold? But they do care about this. They want to know the person they're putting their $5 million listing in the hands of. And they want to know a little bit of your soul and your personality. And that just makes them feel a lot calmer. So this is important stuff. So when you have, you know, you want to announce all this stuff, make sure people understand that you have a website, put at the bottom of your signature page, all that kind of stuff. Make sure your logo is on all your business cards. You want it to be cohesive. You want to obviously make sure you're getting your Google reviews. The newsletter is a good one. We have a fantastic newsletter. I actually love it. When we go to Keller Williams events, we often like, we could be on an escalator and people are like, steer Kelly, because our face is on it and we're like really consistent. We do a newsletter for our clients, and then we do a separate newsletter just for the Keller Williams world, honestly.
Oh, because
it's different messaging, you know, it's like kind of a little bit different. You know, the New York people don't need to know as much general stuff. They want a little bit more minutia, and I don't think people outside New York City want that. So we kind of steer it to 2 different audiences. Like, here's the basics of what our newsletter components are. We do a little bit about the market. Obviously, we don't want to go too much into the market. I think people just start to like stop opening your newsletter if it's too much data, especially if they're not in real estate, you know, looking for it right now. You want people to open your newsletter that aren't necessarily looking right now. So we do a little bit of market watches to remind them that we know stuff. We let them know about investment opportunities because there's always like a new building going up or something. So it's like we get to use like the sexy new photo of the beautiful new building going up, and it just looks like, you know, we're not the listing agent, but we're kind of promoting it. Also commercial investment opportunities. So we kind of like want to touch every single person in our database, regardless of what they might be thinking of doing. This is where we become famous, the fun stuff. This is like the best places to go in upstate New York in wintertime. What's opening in the city? What art galleries are new? What's the top 10 ice cream places in the city in the summer? Like all that kind of stuff. I will look on this sometimes. I don't put a lot of this together, but I'll look on it just to see like what's going on this weekend. What can I do? Like there's an Andy Warhol exhibit. There's this going on. So we get a lot of people opening our newsletter to find out stuff in the community. And obviously I know New York City has a lot going on, but any city does, any city does. You can have, a toy drive, farmer's market, a parade. There's always something. There's always like a restaurant opening, a cafe opening. So just kind of figure out what those things are to make sure people come to your newsletter every single month to kind of figure it out, because when they're ready, maybe 5 years from now, they want to sell something, you're top of mind. So you want to stay in front of people outside of real estate, as well as your real estate expertise. Food and travel also. So that was kind of the nitty gritty fast version of what we've done to kind of spruce up our act in terms of making ourselves actually look like a professional team. And we've been doing this, we've been working on this about 3-4 years. Like I think our first logo was like 4 years ago. And then the website, and then we went to the Google, and now we're doing the Instagram. So it's a slow build. I wish we had done a lot of it faster, because every single time we do something, we get payments back for it. So I encourage all of you guys to take a look at all these components and kind of get your business looking like you want it to as best as you can.
I love it. The newsletter, I get it every month. I do open it. I'm sure you can see that. And I'm reading it. I mean, a lot of times, and I'm a high D. So for me to say I'm like reading the newsletter, there is good content in it and it's very sophisticated and I always learn something. So I love that. Okay. And thank you for sending it. And of course, it is great for branding. So we have about 10 to 15 minutes left. I don't know if Rachel, you can stay till 1 or what your next appointment is, but we have a few minutes to let everyone ask questions. I think we handled everything in the chat. So if anyone wants to come off mute, and I'll review the chat just to make sure we did not miss anything.
Just reading the, gotcha.
We will have this on YouTube. Ashley places each monthly mastermind. It's the third Tuesday of each month for the North Florida region. We do have people that attend from outside of the region. I just tell them to select one of my market centers to register, and it's placed on our YouTube after it is recorded.
I see a question here. How many pages are in our newsletter? I would imagine, Chris, what would you say, like 10, 15?
Yeah, I mean,
it's
a scrolling newsletter for sure. There's a good 5 sections of it, and we have, maybe like 2, newsletter with pictures within each section with a blurb underneath it. So it can be long, but we also have the ability to like jump down to sections if people are just wanting to get to the fun stuff really quickly, which is nice. But yeah, if you printed it out, it probably would be a good 10 pages.
And it's very visual based. So it's a lot of images. It's like short little synopsis of what that's about. So you can really like go through it at like the headlines. If anyone wants to get our newsletter, just email me. It's rachel.kelly@kw.com.
Do you use Canva? What are you using? Canva?
For our newsletter? For our newsletter, we build everything in MailChimp. We do use Canva for social media posts and other things like that, for invitations or stuff like that. That's more print material, but we just created a template right in MailChimp and just swapped things out pretty easily every month.
And what's our open rate, Chris, these days?
It's high. I mean, it's in the 25 to 30%, which for
that's good.
The newsletter is really good.
That's for an email newsletter. One thing we do is we create a link so where we can text it as well. That's really helped the open rate. And then we can send it through Twilio through command or whichever kind of database you're using if you're not with Keller Williams. And it's just a link and it'll say like the month, and then it'll say, coffee update or whatever.
Right.
So you can use like a Bitly and name it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I will share a tip I got from Alex in Nashville. I don't know if you were on the call, who, touching your database, what he did was brilliant. He's just kind of like sitting in his car, does 10-second videos. Hey, Brandy, it's Alex. Happy 2023. Just reminding you what's going on in the market. If you have any questions, I'm here. Send text. He just did it to every single, and he said he had a 500% response increase in his responses, which is great because it's kind of weird to get on the phone and be like, hey, how are you? And also, do you want to buy or sell anything? This is just such a simple way. And I remember saying to him, like, what software do you use for this? And he was like, it's called my phone. And I was like,
It's funny.
So it's simple. This stuff is it doesn't have to be rocket science. And I just thought that's a great one to share.
Especially newer agents, they'll complain when I say do lead gen, call people, and we'll go through, what it looks like to create a database and how do you get all these people in there. And we could, there's a direct correlation, right? How many people are in your database that you stay in contact with, what your GCI will be. So I'll show them those statistics, but then the tactical part, right? Actually doing it, their first excuse is, well, nobody answers their phone. You don't say. When's the last time you answered your phone, right? So, or people will come to me as a new agent and say, well, what's the number one rule in real estate when you're new? Answer your phone. That's all you have to do. You don't have to know everything about real estate, but if you actually answer your phone, you'll be one step ahead
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's true.
Say, well, I called my database and no one's picking up. I'm like, great. Did you text them or did you send a video? Right. And then they'll be like, well, I have to put my makeup on or I have to comb my hair. No. Just, you could be in yoga pants, walking your dog. I remember having my hair in a bun one day and I was still in heavy production. And I knew that I had to follow up with this lead. And so they didn't answer, sent them a text. And I looked awful and I just didn't care. It was bad lighting, no makeup. My dog's like running away from me. He was a puppy still at the time. And they thought it was like so real that I was actually in a moment of, at least you took the time, even though it was a few seconds, to respond when nobody else answered their phone or called us back.
Yeah, that's what, like as soon as you get out of your own way of thinking you have to be perfect, know everything, be on top of it, be camera ready, it's not true. So, don't keep waiting for that perfect day, the perfect moment to do this stuff all day, every day. Alex was doing it sitting in his car, it's just like you could see stuff behind him in his back seat, and it was working. So I find that, being the realer you can be, the more comfortable these people feel with you. They don't want to be sales pitched. They don't want a salesperson-y attitude. They want a neighbor, a consultant, an advisor who gets them. So just let it go. Be the bathtub girl. Find your inner bathtub.
I love
girl.
that. I have to look this up. This is great. I love that.
Yeah.
Especially since she didn't have like the best listing to sit in. I love that she
just found it,
and
just like, look at this white tile.
Yeah.
Like really had to do something, but just make the most of it.
Asking about, can you connect it to MLS? They don't have a multiple listing service in the city of New York. So, and I'm kind of unclear on, is she asking the Florida people? And do you want to come off mute and or put in the chat and kind of clarify what you mean by, are you talking about connecting the newsletter through MLS? I'm not sure. But that is a good talking point.
No, I was talking about the website. I meant when you design your website yourself, how can you connect it to any the listings or lead generation machines or something?
Okay, so you're talking about having the listing syndication. So in Rachel's case, they don't have the syndication opportunities, but yes, you can connect your website. Your broker, if you're in Florida, can connect you by signing an agreement, and there's rules and regulations you have to follow with that syndication through IDX Pro. But you have to check off that you want the listing to syndicate, and the agent has the option when they input the listing into the Stellar multiple listing service.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
But get with your broker or your team leader.
Chris, can you put up our website just to have so people can kind of look at it? There's a lot of questions about the website.
Yeah.
I'm not able to
So-
share. I can't share.
I will make
Oh, you
you,
can just like write it in the message.
Oh, sorry.
I'll make
yeah.
you the co-host if you'd like to.
So people can just look it up. So all of this, guys, is just like, I don't know why we didn't do earlier. All of this cost us $1,200, you know, and that was like the fancy version of it. So, you know, it takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. And it really kind of puts your image out there in a way that looks polished and branded and, you know, professional. So I encourage you all to kind of look into these things.
Yeah, I feel one thing that you have is a really strong brand awareness. And I think that's really important. And then what you said early on, I think resonated with me when I'm teaching classes to agents that are like, well, I don't have a brand. Well, just coming up with your core values is going to help lead to maybe your mission and then your vision. And, you know, you don't have to come up with your MVP overnight, right? And that can also change. Or you can call it a philosophy. You don't have to follow the exact same method that everyone does, but people still need to know who you are and what you're about. And
right. So like, especially with you guys down in Florida, like someone's branding might be like escape, vacation. Someone else might be like retirement, you know, come relax. Someone else be like, you know, come down here, have a tax-free business, you know, like, so what gets you jazzed, you know, like where's your attitude lie, and just kind of go in that lane.
Yeah.
It just attracts people.
It does. And it attracts, like you said earlier, one thing that I heard loud and clear that I think is really important for agents, especially when they're disgruntled or they have a hard client. If your brand is built around, you know, who you are and it is authentic, you're going to attract those like-kind people. So for me, I end up, you know, attracting a lot of people that are in business, and I can have really powerful business conversations outside of real estate. And so, you know, a lot of my content is about wealth building, you know, doing investment seminars, because we are a very business friendly state. And so I'm not looking to just sell them their primary residence, which in my mind sometimes is a liability. So I'm looking to ask them questions on like, you know, are you at the baby stages of your first home where we can help you build some equity over time? Are you looking to buy your first investment property? Have you even thought about that? Down to teaching KWKC to young adults about the path of money and how money works. So on all levels, no matter where they're at in their wealth status, my mission is to help them increase that wealth.
That's great. I mean, what an image to have out there in the world. Be like, you know, who should we call? She knows all the stuff, you know? So yeah, I that's fantastic. Like you're like a professor of this, you know, so you're the expert of it, and you're not even like selling them anything. So it's super clever, and obviously you're amazing at it. So, you know, your thing might be like, I like to bake. I'm going to share all my baking tips. You're going to find people who just kind of gel with you. So it really could be anything. It could be anything. Just make sure it's authentic.
I know what Maria's would be, because her and I have an affinity towards animals, and particularly dogs. So sometimes my dog gets more, I have a personal and a business Instagram, and I have someone run the business one. And people often think my personal one is actually my business one, because obviously I do a lot of classes and teach. But my dog, I think he got like almost 18,000 views or 15,000 views on the boat, you know, and it's like, everyone knows that dog video. And it's like,
right.
Get those same views my dog does, but he is
right. Cute. It makes sense. So like I said, I was a dancer. Christine and I lost our dad this year, and he kind of got us into like the love of dance. And so I've been putting on the Instagram stories, just little 10-second snippets I find of people dancing, having fun, being happy, like baseball teams, babies, whatever. And I do it like once or twice a day, and it's become so popular. I've had people send me, can you put this one up? Alex Walking just sent me one, you know, like Michael Barrow in San Diego sends me some, and like everyone's like in it now. So now I have to keep it going because it's kind of become like a fun thing to watch. So, you know, it could be anything.
Who doesn't like watching people dance? My mom always sends me like TikTok videos of people dancing, and that it brightens my day. And I'm not on TikTok because I would go down the rabbit hole, but just receiving her random TikTok videos through Facebook or wherever she sends it, you know, makes me smile.
Yeah, it's just kind of little like, here's a little happiness for you today. So I bet your dog does the same exact thing.
I hope so. Well, do we have any more questions for Rachel? This has really been great. And again, it was recorded. Let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, I'm going to make an announcement just for North Florida. And in case you do want to come down to Florida, you're welcome to join us for an event too. Do we have any other questions for Rachel?
I saw somebody asked a question about our video on the website, and I can just tell you that I knew I wanted to use a time-lapse video of New York, and I just Googled one. And that was the most expensive part of our website because I had to license it from the artist to use it. So that's how I found that, just by Googling.
I love that. So you didn't even have to hire them to shoot it. It was already
No,
done.
it was already done. And I knew we couldn't shoot anything like that. So I just went out and tried to find something that we could purchase.
And he made a quick $1,200. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Supporting
So
local artists.
we love that. Thank you so much. So maybe you come down to Florida, but on May 4th and 5th, we are actually going to have a Megapalooza. It's an event for top agents in the North Florida region. The 4th will be more of a VIP day, and then the 5th will be open to everyone. We're looking to get Brady Sandal and a couple of other guests, so it should be a really fun event. Hopefully we can create a luxury breakout. We're still working on a few things, but if you want to mark down those dates or you'd like to come to Florida, I see you shaking your head, Jennifer. I know you want to come to the beach. You want to come to Siesta Key, don't you? So mark your calendars. And David, we're in North Florida, even though I'm in Sarasota, which most people consider South Florida, but my team covers 5 counties in actually South Florida, but we're actually, the region, the way it's split up is North Florida. So
That sounds nice.
well, thank you, Rachel. This has been an honor and a privilege and such a treat for me to have you as a guest.
Oh, same. I love you madly. You're the queen. Yeah. And if any of you end up going to family reunion, please reach out. We'd love to meet you face to face if we haven't met yet. There's a lot of familiar faces on this, but
Instagram. It's great. I love your videos. So everyone, let's support each other's social media.
all right. Thank you, Brandy.
Have a wonderful day.
All right. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.